Welcome to this Bible study series on biblical time. This is session number 12, Time in Prophecy. So prophecy tends to express time literally, whereas models substitute one unit of time for another. God demonstrates his foreknowledge this way. So the reason why I bring this up is there are some people, usually refer to themselves as preterists, that believe that prophecy has been fulfilled and that periods of time in prophecy, for example, days mean years. And so they will say that the prophecies of the kingdom have been fulfilled, and they'll give you all kinds of speculations as to how long it's gone on. And I'm really not going to go and teach all that. But the idea is they're misinterpreting the scripture, and prophecy gives units of time, and they are what they say. So we'll see that in this session. So let's see a diagram and then the verses that define it. The diagram will demonstrate that the time units are literal, and also note the books that the time intervals are in. So I have a diagram here that I've created. It shows our timeline of history, 7,000 years, and sometime soon there will probably be a rapture of the church and a resurrection of the dead, and then you will have a period of time leading up to the tribulation. Jesus says a generation, the generation there would see this tribulation come, the kingdom come actually. And so this generation of 40 years we talked about in an earlier session would lead up to the kingdom with the tribulation right at the end of it. But this tribulation is broken down into a period of 7 years, Daniel's 70th week. And so we have a number of other descriptions of this time period, typically half of it, with several passages in Daniel and in Revelation. So we will look at these shortly, but basically you have a 7-year period, often broken down into 3.5 years, although there are some minor variations. So we'll see all of these passages here on upcoming slides. So first, a week of years is 7 years. Daniel 9, verse 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured out upon the desolate. So we saw in an earlier session that a week of years is 7 years, and that's what we have here. There's also attention drawn to the midst of the week. So this week of years is divided in two, and we will see many scriptures that describe one half or the other. So as I said, 7 years consists of 2 3.5-year intervals. So first, let's see that days are days. Daniel 8, verse 14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Daniel 12, 11-12, and from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days. So all of these passages here, or verses here, have different time periods, but they're all in days, and they are speaking to something that is half of the week or longer. And in fact, all of these are longer. And so the previous diagram showed them where they possibly would lie during the tribulation. Revelation 11, verse 3, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. So this is the half of the tribulation, the 1,260 days. Revelation 12, verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. So again, we have the same period of time, not necessarily describing the same half. So Daniel is the book that gives us the tribulation, the description of it as the 70th week, and it has other descriptions of the time within that 70th week. And Revelation is a mirror of that book. Maybe mirror is not the right description, but it's the companion book to Daniel, furthering what Daniel started. So 1260 days is 3.5 years. Some of those other periods were a little longer than that. Now let's see that months are months. Revelation 11, verse 2, but the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. Revelation 13, verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So again, 42 months is 3.5 years. Now, in this particular time interval, we have the word time, and it means year. So Revelation 12, verse 14, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. Daniel 7, verse 25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. So half a time and the dividing of time are both half a year. Daniel 12, verse 7, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So in all of these, time and plus times and half a time is 1 plus 2 and 1/2 for a total of 3.5 years. It's all consistent. So back to the diagram, you can see the intervals and the references, which we went over. The ones that don't really align with half of a week or 3.5 years is the 2300 days, the 1290 days, and the 1335 days. So I'm not exactly sure when these lie, but I think I might have them in the right place. The others are half of the week, and there's often a companion to one half with the other. So scripture is very consistent, and all of these times are literal. There is nothing figurative about them. They're not types. Now let's see reference to a different 3.5 years. Luke 4, verse 25, but I tell you of a truth, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout all the land. So you'll notice now we're in Luke, not Daniel or Revelation, and we have a different expression of 3.5 years. Here it's 3 years and 6 months. Daniel and Revelation didn't use words in that way. It was either years or months or days. James 5, verse 17, Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. So you got companion phrases here which help you align these passages. So 3 years and 6 months is 3.5 years, but we're talking about a different interval of time. This is in the past. It may be a picture of something in the future, something in the tribulation, but both of these reference the time that Elijah had a ministry. But again, it is literal, not figurative. So let's have a little side study here, which I've called No Symbolism Required, and it's going to address this whole idea that preterism uses to say that days mean years or vice versa. So Numbers 13, verse 25, and they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. Numbers 14, 33 to 34, and your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. After the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. Hebrews 3, verse 16 to 17, for some, when they had heard, did provoke, howbeit not all that came out of Egypt by Moses. But with some was he grieved 40 years? Was it not with them that had sinned, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness? So in all of these passages, a day means a day and a year means a year. God said they would wander the wilderness for 40 years. He said years. And the number was determined by the number of days that they were in the land, which was 40. So it's 40 from the days that they were spying that is used to determine the number of years. But the 40 days was 40 days, and the 40 years was 40 years. It doesn't say they'll wander the wilderness for 40 days, and they really wandered for 40 years. And this is the idea that preterists like to use to say when the prophecy speaks of days, it's really years. It's not symbolic. There's no symbolism here at all. Here's another one. Ezekiel 4, verses 4 to 6. Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days, 390 days, so shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side. Thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee a day for a year. So in this case, Israel and both of the houses, the house of Israel and the house of Judah, have done some kind of sin that isn't necessarily clear. The northern house had the iniquity for 390 years. And so Ezekiel is told to lie on his side for 390 days. The years means years, and the day means days. It's just the number 390 that is the one that's used from one problem when they were doing some kind of iniquity. It's probably idolatry. And Ezekiel has to lay on his side this number of days. It's just God equating the two things. But days means days and years means years. And the same for the house of Judah. Whatever they did was for 40 years, and Ezekiel's to lie on his side for 40 days. There's no speaking of a time period, let's say in days, and it really means years. And that's how preterists misuse these examples in their doctrine. So again, a day means a day and a year means a year. It's clear. It says so. God is very specific when he talks about prophecy and time periods. He does have advanced symbolic types and patterns, but the scriptures usually mean what they say directly in prophecy. All right, so let's return to our study of time and prophecy and look at a concept called the day of the Lord. This is a period of time containing at least the tribulation. It will probably contain a period of time just before that. As I showed in that earlier time slide, you had a generation that would see the kingdom. So up to 40 years would transpire, 7 of which would be the tribulation. So the day of the Lord might be a little bit longer than the 7 years. Amos 5, 18 to 20. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house, and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it? Malachi 4, verse 5, Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Acts 2, verse 20, The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of the Lord come. So you'll see various phrases here, all referencing the day of the Lord. You'll have the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and the great and notable day of the Lord, and some people like to split these up into different time frames, depending upon what adjectives are used. But the day of the Lord is really Jesus is coming. That will be the day that he will bring. And leading up to it is a period of night. And it's all this tribulation and perhaps a little bit longer than it. Some might teach that the day of the Lord began when Israel went off into exile. But that can't possibly be true, as we will see in some later passages. So Jesus said that night was coming. John 9, verse 4, I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 2 to 4, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. And when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. So reference to that tribulation as night. It's really darkness from clouds, but nonetheless, conceptually, it's night. 2 Peter 3, verse 10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So let's see various passages that talk about the day of the Lord being at hand. Now, when we talked about at hand in a much earlier session, it often was a short period of time, maybe even a few years. But we'll see how it can be a much longer period of time concerning the day of the Lord. So Isaiah 13, verse 6, howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Now, Isaiah is before Israel's taken off into captivity. So even if it had come when Jesus was resurrected, it was still several hundred years from when this prophecy is given. Yet it's said to be at hand. That's why some people think it's the exile begins the day of the Lord, but we'll see. Joel 1, verse 15, alas for the day of the Lord is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. Joel 2, verse 1, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. Zephaniah 1, 14 to 18, the great day of the Lord is near, it is near, hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So the day of the Lord is mentioned in several prophets. Now, this nighttime will be shortened. Matthew 24, 21 to 22. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. And we talked about the shortening of days. The days aren't shorter. It's just God brings this reigning of the Antichrist to an end. He doesn't let it run its course. Jesus returns and puts an end to it. So the nighttime will end and the day dawns with Jesus' return. 2 Peter 1, verse 19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. So, hope you had a better understanding of time and prophecy. It's usually quite literal. There are some models that we talked about in other sessions which are not, but don't listen to what preterists teach. It's error. And also, the day of the Lord isn't something we have to worry about, but will be something that will come once we're gone. And Israel certainly needs to worry, as probably the rest of the world. Hope you enjoyed the series. Thank you.